In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Backup Buddy plugin. If you're on managed WordPress hosting, you don't need Backup Buddy because they have their own backup and restore systems that are really good. But if you're on shared hosting, like on HostGator or Bluehost, you'll need the Backup Buddy plugin in order to make backups of your site and to be able to restore your site if something happens. So let's start first. Under plugins, you'll see that we have Backup Buddy installed here and activated. So once it's activated, we can go to the Backup Buddy settings, Backup Buddy, and you'll see there's a flyout menu. We're going to start with the settings first down here at the bottom. Now when you first set up Backup Buddy, the first thing you want to do is under the general settings, you have Import Buddy password. You want to create a password for that Import Buddy file, which is used when you restore a site or migrate a site. So we can put in a password here. And just be sure to have that password handy if you ever need to restore your site. Local storage, where you want those backups stored on your hosting directory. I'm going to leave it at default. The default is in the WP content directory under uploads, and there's a folder in there called Backup Buddy Backups. So that's where those backup zip files will be stored on your server. Backup Buddy access permission, you should leave it as a default, so only the administrator has access to those. Under email notifications, you want to put your email so that if you ever get any errors with Backup Buddy, you know that something has happened. You can go in and see. I've got my email address here. You can also put in email notifications for when a backup starts, when it completes. If you're having backups sent to a remote destination, you might want to put in your email to let you know that it actually was received at that destination. And if there's no backups that have been run over a period of time, say you've set it for weekly and that backup didn't run, so maybe you want to set it for 8 days. So if it didn't make that weekly backup, you want to get notified. Under the local archive storage limits, you want to be sure and set these because you want to set a limit on how many backups get stored on your server. You don't want to exceed your hosting limit with backups. So I have this set for 2. You can probably go 4 or 5. It depends on how often you run that backup. You can set the type of backups, whether you want to just have 2 full backups, but maybe you want 4 database backups. So you can set those individually because you have the option of just doing a database backup or a full site backup. There's a size limit. If you've got a lot of content in your sites, say over a gigabyte, you might run into some problems on your hosting. So you might want to set a limit size. Or later I'll show you how you can just do limited file backups. In other words, exclude the WordPress part and just do your content and your database, so you can get around some of those size limits. You can also set an age limit. So if you've got a backup in there that's, maybe you want to put no limit, but you want to set it for 30 days. So any backup that's over 30 days, just get rid of it, and then you'll have just your new backups there. The next is your database defaults. It will show all your database tables. Perhaps there's some tables in there that have nothing to do with WordPress. That would be very unusual. But in that case, you might want to exclude those. And you'll see when I mouse over them, you get plus minus. So whether you want to include or exclude certain database tables. Normally you would just leave this at the default, which is just all the WordPress tables. File and directory defaults. Here you can exclude specific files and directories. If you have another WordPress install in a subdomain, you will get a warning from Backup Buddy and you will need to exclude that subdomain. In this case, Say I've got a really big site and I want to exclude the default WordPress directories, because I can get those from another download of WordPress. I can exclude WP admin and WP includes and just have my content in the backup. So you can add it that way. And again, you'll see when I mouse over it, I get the little minus symbol where I can exclude those. I'm going to take these back out because I want my backup to have all of them, because this backup's relatively small. So once you've set those, you just click the blue button to save your settings. Okay, now maybe you want to set a schedule. Maybe you want your backups to run every week, or if you don't add content very often, maybe only once a month. You go to Backup Buddy and you go to Schedules and enter a schedule name. So for this example, I'm going to have weekly database backups, but only monthly full site backups. So I'm going to put weekly database as the name. I'm going to select database only, and I'm going to set that for weekly, and have it checked for enable schedule to run, and then click the blue button. So now I've got a weekly database backup scheduled to run. And now I want a new one called monthly full, and have a complete backup every month. Let's change it to monthly. Okay. Enable schedule to run. Add new schedule. Oops. Date and time of next run I didn't set. Let's go ahead and set that for Saturday. There we go. Now let's add that schedule. So now we've got two schedules. We've got a database every week and a full backup every month. Okay, now that we've set a schedule, say we want to send our backup somewhere else for safekeeping. If you're on shared hosting, there's always a chance that that server could go down for an extended period of time. It could crash completely, and your hosting provider is not responsible for your content if that happens. So you want that backup stored somewhere else, and you can have it sent to other locations. If you go to Backup Buddy and go to Remote Destinations, you'll see you can set it up to have those backups sent to other places. Backup Buddy Stash, well, that requires you to have your own Backup Buddy account, and they will give you free storage there. You can sign up for an Amazon S3 cloud storage. Amazon S3 cloud storage is just pennies a month, and it's a good way to store a lot of data. So if you have weekly backups and you want them stored somewhere where you have a lot of space, Amazon S3 is a good place. So say I want it to go to Amazon S3, I'm going to click that, and then I just put in my Amazon S3 access key, the secret key, and the bucket name where I want it sent to, and I add that destination. Let's go back. Say you have a Dropbox account. Dropbox will allow you to send backups that are less than 150 megabytes. There we go. It gives you the limit. If your site backup is less than 150 megabytes, you can set it up to send to your Dropbox account for you. You can also set it up to email your backup. Although normally these backups would be too big to send to you, but database backups are normally small enough. If you just want the database backups emailed to you, say every week, email would be fine. And again, you just click the button to set that up. FTP, if you have another account on a different server, you can set up FTP to send those backups to that other server. You can also send it to your Google Drive account. You have options for a local directory, rack space, or if you don't use FTP, if your server uses SFTP, you can set that up. So you just click on here and set up that remote destination to send those backups to. Now, one other good feature about Backup Buddy, particularly if you're on shared hosting, where you're responsible for backups and security, Backup Buddy comes with a malware scan. So if you ever suspect that you have malware on your site, you can scan it from the Backup Buddy menu. Just select Malware Scan, and it's doing the scan now. There we go. It didn't find any malware. It gives you your server information, some web application information, links, local JavaScript, and then the blacklisting status. This is what's important if you ever get malware, because if you get malware on your site, you will get blacklisted by certain security sites like Google Safe Browsing or Norton or Securi, and you can check to see if your site's been blacklisted. If this ever comes up and shows that you have malware, then you can use Backup Buddy to restore your site to a previous state before that happened. Okay, so now let's go ahead. We're going to make a manual backup now. We're going to go to Backup Buddy Backup, and we're going to first do a database backup. So we just go here to just click on this button that says Database. And Backup Buddy tracks this in the status bar up here and tells you where it is in that backup. And now it's done. So you can go back to your list of backups, you can download it directly, or you can send that backup if you ran it manually to your offsite destination here. So let's go back to Backup Buddy to backup, and let's do a complete backup. And again, it goes through the status. Now it takes a little bit longer because it's got to not only zip the database but also all the files on your site as well. Okay, now our full backup's complete, and again we can download that zip file, and you'll see it's 112.55 megabytes, or we can send it to an offsite destination. Now if you ever need to restore from backup, you go to Backup Buddy Restore. Now you can do a lot of restore functions right from your dashboard. If it's just a case of malware and you want to restore, you can do that from your dashboard. If you just want to restore your database to a previous version, you can do that as well. To do that, you will need the Import Buddy file if you're going to migrate. The Import Buddy PHP file is included in that backup zip file if you're going to migrate your site completely to another server. Now you can hover over these backups and see you can download your backup if you want to send it over to another server. You can browse and restore specific files, and you can roll back the database, or you can migrate it to another server. So you'll see when you go over these backup zip files, you have the options of how you want to restore or migrate those files. So that's how you use Backup Buddy to backup and restore your site.